waiting for us and standing by. We appreciate that. What is your idea of what's happening right now and what happens next?
Sure. None of this comes as a surprise to us who've been following the case, because it's always been difficult for the prosecutor to make the argument that this man was solely responsible for the fire. Even if they can prove that he started a different fire, the Lockman fire, who's to say that fire also led to the Palisades fire? Second, the issue is fireworks were testified to have been going off at that time. So in terms of reasonable doubt, what could have caused this when you have fireworks going off, an individual just near the area may be starting a fire? Again, he called 911 himself to argue that he tried to prevent this tragedy. It's not an easy case for a jury to deliberate over.
But how unusual is it, Lou, that, a jury would say we have a verdict and then right before it's read to everyone, they say, no, we don't have a verdict after all. And the judge sends them back to deliberate further.
It actually happens all the time. Think about it, the foreperson is not a lawyer. They're trying to do the best they can in terms of using the right lingo. So the definition of a verdict to a foreperson could just mean we have reached the end point in our deliberation. Here's what our conclusion is. Here's what our verdict is. When in fact, that's not the correct language to use.
And when they do that, Lou, does that foreman have to say we have, 9 that think it, this person's, guilty? What do they give the specifics, or they just say we can't reach a verdict?
They're not supposed to give the specifics. The judge isn't supposed to ask about it either. All the judge is supposed to do is inquire with the jury to say, if I gave you more time to deliberate, do you think you could arrive at a verdict? And questions like that, but they don't take an actual count on where the jury is this time.
Okay, so, we've got another day of the week. Hopefully they'll spend Friday deliberating longer if need be, and hopefully we will have a verdict by the end of the day, right?
Either it would be a verdict or it could be a mistrial, in which case that would be a win for the defense under this kind of case with these high stakes.
And then they would likely try to, bring the case again?
Then the prosecution has to decide if they're going to bring the case again. The judge will decide whether or not they will allow the prosecution to do that. That's why it's basically a win for the defense under these kinds of facts.
All right. Lou Shapiro, thank you so much for joining us. We, of course, are going to have much more on this situation, which was, we heard that there was a verdict. Now we're hearing that there is a deadlock and these jurors will go back and deliberate further. Stay with us. We will have much more coming up at 4 o'clock.